Welcome to the Shreveport Connector with Tommy. This video is on SmackDown, Superstars, and NXT. Probably at least a week's news. And also what happened after Raw went off the air. Two different reports. Some similar, some not. After Raw went off the air, John Cena came out and introduced a video tribute to Shawn Michaels. Michael then came out to the ring, followed by Triple H and CM Punk. Punk thanked Shawn for inspiring him and noted Shawn's autograph is one he has kept since the age of 15. After Punk left, Vince McMahon came out and told Michaels that he felt like a father to him and said, "I love you, son." And then they hugged. Hunter then brought out the entire locker room, and out comes Undertaker as well. Taker told Michaels that if he had to list his top 5 matches of all time, Shawn would be directly responsible in some way for 3 of them. He then thanked Shawn for being a friend, and then they hugged. Shawn was presented with a commemorative plaque to honor his work for the AT&T Center. As well, the last person who came out was John Laurinaitis, who received an immediate sweet chin music, and out the ring he goes. Triple H and McMahon rolled Johnny back into the ring to chant "one more time," which Michaels obliged. And Shawn Michaels closed by thanking everyone for supporting him. Triple H and Undertaker posed for pictures to end the night in WrestleMania 28 reunion. Second report from Richard Robles and Michael Weisinger attended Monday's Raw show in Houston, Texas, and sent the following report on what happened after the Raw concluded. John Cena introduced Shawn Michaels. As he started to talk, Triple H music interrupts and he comes to the ring. CM Punk stepped in and interrupted with a story on how he got HBK's autograph when he was 15 and still has it in his wallet today. Triple H some kind of words, and then Vince McMahon's music hits. Vince says he always felt like HBK's dad and said, "Thank you, son," which followed by a long hug. Vince then summoned the entire locker room out to the ramp. He said there was one more person, and the Undertaker's music hits, and the building exploded, and Taker thanked Shawn for a few minutes. And HBK finally got to talk and thanked everyone for everything. A plaque was given to HBK by Triple H and the AT&T Center. Johnny Ace Laurinaitis comes out to speak, but took his sweet chin music for his efforts from HBK. And that ended that second report. And WWE has announced that Jersey Shore star Paulie D will serve as a social media ambassador for Monday's WWE Raw show this coming week. He will also be headlining DJ at SummerSlam VIP party on August the 16th. Yes, the social media ambassador stuff is odd, but it beats the hell out of watching them actually appear in angles as guest hosts. WWE's SmackDown was taped on Tuesday night in Houston, Texas at the Toyota Center. The only match that is known is Cody Rhodes versus Sin Cara. Plus, Chris Jericho will be hosting the highlight reel with Dolph Ziggler as his guest. And then we got $1 Million Man has a website and a blog. And it's available at WrestlingNewsSource.com and also at Facebook.com/WNS podcast. So you can catch it every Wednesday and see what he has to say on this particular episode. DiBiase comments on never winning the WWE Championship. Again, wrestling is a business. And of course, I guess if you're given the title, you're getting marked as the best. And that's not necessarily always true. A belt is a gimmick in our business. And it's just a status symbol. I get asked that question a lot because there was a lot of talk. And the initial thought was that WrestleMania 4, the tournament, that I would win it. That was the initial plan. I would win it and then have my run with Hulk Hogan. You got to satisfy a lot of people, and someone said Honky Tonk Man didn't want to drop the Intercontinental belt to Macho Man Randy Savage. and they wanted to make Randy happy also. So somebody came up with the idea to turn Randy babyface. So the question was posed to me: what would get you more heat, Ted? If you didn't win the belt, or if your arrogance, your thumbed up nose at it and created your own belt? And I said, that's the ticket. And there it was. And the rest is history. Today, to this day, you can talk about a conversation piece. Everybody wants to come and take a picture with me. And $1 million belt. $1 million belt made me more money than WWE title ever would have. On the $1 million belt, the WWE had made is a very expensive belt. The stones in the belt are cubic zirconium. They're almost diamonds, and there's 700 of them back in 1988 when the belt was created, and I think they were $40 to $50 a piece. Its estimated value in 1988 was $40,000. I have no idea how much it is to be worth today, but I don't have the belt. I have a belt, but it's a replica just like anyone else can buy. But the replicas are always exact. If there's any difference, it's that the stones on the real belt are smaller. One person he would like to work with in the future is John Cena, because I was always kind of a ring general, and just to see what kind of match I could put together with him off the cuff and wrestle him for the same reason. I always wanted to wrestle Hogan, because you always make more money when you wrestle the top guy. I'll be honest with you, John's a good guy. He's had a great run, and when I went to WWF in 1987, his reign as champion started a year before. What I'm trying to get at is Cena started getting his big push in 2005, and from 2005 to 2012, that's a long time to be the guy on top, but it's finding the right guy to replace him. Other topics included his favorite moment working in wrestling, his sons entering the business, the lack of a territory system hurting new wrestlers, and much, much more. And you can hear the full interview at podcast.wrestlingnewssource.com /WNS podcast EP81.mp3. I will be right back as I get my other links that I've got for the other news to go on with it. Okay, I'm back with that. All right. Dawn Marie delivered 2 YouTube videos attempting to explain allegations and controversies involving her Wrestlers Rescue charity. Among the points she makes, Wrestlers Rescue is a for-profit company. She has a separate non-profit entity. She points people to her website to see an accounting of all the monies concerning Dr. Death Steve Williams, and claims that negative stories about what happened from a disgruntled WWE ring crew member were a vendetta because she refused to pay his rent. She claims that they were not able to raise the funds for Jerry Lynn because of the negative press from the Williams incident, and that all the memorabilia collected was saved to be used for the next wrestler they helped. She repeated the claims that her agent Michelle Muppo made what she made last week concerning Kamala returning the funds he was sent because they did not get there fast enough. And you can see part 1 of Dawn Marie's video and part 2 at the link I'm fixing to show. And of course, the $1 Million Man's link is up top, and the Dawn Marie link is right here in the middle. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, the story gets even crazier every time something new comes out. I've already been proven that the Kamala story, advanced by Dawn Marie, is plausible, and in my humble opinion, probably closer to the truth than Kamala's actual story. But the rest of her video sounds like a giant conspiracy theory. Some unknown ring crew guy was able to trash the entire organization. Forgive my doubt. And how is a wrestler's rescue for a profit company? I get the legal reasons, but who goes into fundraising business for a profit? The following matches are listed for AWA on ESPN Classic on Tuesday night from 11 p.m. Central Time. Tommy Jammer versus Gust. Johnny Stewart versus Spike Jones. Sergeant Slaughter versus Burton. Destruction Crew versus Carlson and Bennett. And the Trooper versus W.T. Jones. Candy Divine versus Magnificent Mimi. And she was a women's, and that was for the women's title. Okay, a Japanese website, Japanese WWE website, is reporting that Wade Barrett and Kelly Kelly will be on the upcoming SmackDown tour of Japan and China. Barrett, who is returning from an elbow injury suffered in February, is slated to wrestle Yoshitatsu. Kelly, who has been taking a hiatus from WWE, is slated to face Natalya. Unknown whether she's actually extended her contract or just finishing out her contract. And you can read that story, which will need to be translated unless you can understand Japanese, at, of course, the WWE website. www.co.jp /news/news_detail.php $NID equals 10374. Now, Kelly Kelly was already advertised on the WWE events site as being on the tour, but Wade Barrett comes as a surprise, as I wasn't expecting his full return until after or during SummerSlam. And I still expect him to be in the main event picture to help CM Punk win against John Cena at SummerSlam. That's only my prediction. Well, let's see if my prediction actually comes true. And now, WWE is on, WWE NXT is on Dailymotion. You can watch the weekly show on its Full Sail University. You can look up Full Sail on dailymotion.com. And they're taping it in Winter Park, Florida for this particular episode. And they had a new signature aired, and Byron Saxton welcomed us to the show. He hyped that there would be lots of announcements tonight before sending it over to NXT interim GM Dusty Rhodes. I didn't know that. Dusty was sitting backstage. He talked about being a champion no matter what level you compete at. He said that NXT needs a guy that is going to move up and chase the dream of being a champion. He hyped that the first WWE NXT champion would soon be crowned. He announced that after weeks of tournaments which he called the Gold Rush tournament, will start taking place. And that started on this particular episode. I already did the results for it, but I'm going to go ahead and give y'all the actual what was on the show. He also announced that it would feature the following 8 superstars: Richie Steamboat, the son of Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Bo Dallas, Leo Kruger, Seth Rollins, Michael McGillicuddy, Drew McIntyre, Jinder Mahal, and Justin Gabriel. He hyped that the Gold Rush tournament would begin right now. Well, that was a good promo from Dusty. He's not appeared since the first episode, so it was important to reintroduce him in a strong way if he's going to be taken seriously as a interim GM. He made the NXT Championship and the Gold Rush tournament feel like a big deal, whilst keeping the promo short, sweet, and unbiased. Nice work. Opening video aired, and following by a shot of NXT Championship, Richie Steamboat made his entrance to a very decent good pop. Byron Saxton checked back in on commentary and introduced William Regal and JR on commentary. Leo Kruger made his entrance to good heat as they replayed footage from their match 2 weeks ago. So match number 1 was Richie Steamboat versus Leo Kruger. Both men locked up. Richie went for 2 quick pin attempts. Leo stalled early on by constantly going to the outside and teasing to get back in. He also faked a knee injury in order to strike down Steamboat. Kruger worked over Steamboat with punches and stops on the floor before posing and hitting his signature snap suplex. Kruger kept Steamboat grounded with numerous headlocks before hitting a great-looking spine buster for a near fall. But Kruger locked in the sleeper hold momentarily before hitting several strikes on the grounded Steamboat again. Steamboat eventually hit a high kick followed by several chops and clotheslines, just like his dad used to do. He hit a back chop and an elbow into a corner, and Kruger followed by a missile drop kick for a 2 count. Steamboat came back with a running attack on Kruger, but got locked in on the sleeper hold again. Steamboat fell to the ropes, which once again prompted several strikes, including knees to a grounded Steamboat. Kruger picked Steamboat up and whipped him into the ropes. Steamboat came back with a ducking clothesline and hit the sling blade for the win. So, Richie Steamboat defeated Leo Kruger in 7 minutes 55 seconds to advance to the semifinals of the Gold Rush tournament. While Steamboat was celebrating and Kruger was looking distraught, they showed the remaining brackets for the Gold Rush tournament. Other 3 matches were shown as Rollins versus McIntyre, Gabriel versus McGillicuddy, wow, former NXT members facing each other, and Bo Dallas versus Mahal. Byron said Rollins versus McIntyre will take place later on in the show. A match that wasn't very exciting, but featured some good ring psychology on behalf of Kruger. WWE are apparently high on both guys, so I suppose they didn't really want either guy to have a distinct advantage over the other. Hence why 2 weeks ago Kruger won with his foot on the ropes. Cheat, as for instance, bad guy material. And this time he dominates but loses. Big E Langston makes his debut. His entrance to very little reaction. He rubbed chalk on his hand and clapped in a big way. As Saxon said, he can bench press 600 pounds. His opponent, Adam Mercer, was introduced to no reaction as Real Regal noted that Big E has a record in deadlifting and that he can deadlift 700 pounds. Whew. Big E Langston versus Adam Mercer. Langston immediately started with knees to the midsection and then hit several rib breakers and a series of shoulder blocks in the corner. Langston started talking trash at Mercer, which allowed Mercer to hit 2 jawbreakers. He tried to hit Langston off the ropes, but Langston stopped him with a punch to the gut, then practically ran Mercer over with a splash type of maneuver. Big E pulled the straps on his singlet down and hit his finisher, the Big E ending, which is basically a scoop slam into an RKO to the stomach for the win. So, I wonder how that pans out. An RKO, you grab the head down to the stomach. Okay. So, that match took 1:59 seconds. William Regal said that the sky is the limit for Langston, as Byron teased Rollins versus McIntyre for later in the show as well. And Raquel Diaz versus Aubrey Marie. And Raquel Diaz is Miss Piggy Guerrero's daughter, along with the late great Eddie Guerrero. Well, Audrey Marie, might as well call her Murphy, I don't know her right off the bat. Well, that match goes up next. Holy crap, did Big E impress me in a short pace of time? He looked like one badass SOB in that match. I've seen his finisher several times before on FCW, and yet every time I see it, it looks great. Big E also has a great look, and I feel he has that mysterious X factor that people always talk about. Overall, a great debut for him. Okay, Aubrey Marie made her entrance. First, a very little reaction. Raquel Diaz made her entrance with a headset on, very similar to Abraham Washington, and said that Marie doesn't know how to work work a ramp. She got in the ring and said, "The exfoliating ugliness tour starts now." So we get Raquel Diaz versus Aubrey Marie. Marie started with a headlock, as William Regal mentioned the Guerreros by name, while talking about Raquel's heritage. And Diaz drove Aubrey onto the ropes and locked in a headlock of her own. Diaz started to rag Audrey's hair and scream in typical catfight style. She attempted a backside pin, but Marie used the ropes to flip out, and it was a bad spot. It prompted "You Can't Wrestle" chant from the crowd as Diaz set up and hit the gory bomb for the win. And the match took 2 minutes and 33 seconds of boring action. After the match, Diaz drew an L on the camera, head on her head with lipstick, very similar to NWO style. Backstage, Bradley Pierce, that's Dolph Ziggler's younger brother, was standing next to Gutteridge's favorite NXT diva Paige, who has just watched the match. He asked for her thoughts. What she had just seen. She said, "Exfoliating ugliness to her? We'll see." Raquel and Creative seems to be putting on a lot of effort into this gimmick, but I don't know if it's really clicking. We've seen Maurice and Lay Cool use the type of gimmick before, while Maurice was really believable with it. I'm not sure I feel the same way about it with Raquel. The whole thing seems to be too forced and too over the top that it's hard to get into. So what you going to do? Have a NWO style diva? You could argue that as a heel, she's doing a good job of annoying, but her act is making me want to mute the laptop to not to boo her. As for the "You Can't Wrestle" chants, I completely understand where the crowd's going there, but I think Raquel's hands are tied on this one, because you can only do what they allow you to do. Very similar to Alex Riley's repertoire, because I know he can do a lot more than what WWE is allowing him to do. She's portraying a stereotypical bitch, so she's bound to go for the cat fights, and I think she gets so much pressure put on her by her last name that people are going to pick small faults when it comes to her wrestling ability. On the plus side, that they seem to be setting up a feud between her and Paige, and a feud is something the show does need. Hunico and Camacho made their entrance to debut Heat. Jason Jordan and Mike Dalton were introduced and their opponents to the ring. They got a police response. Kissing. Okay, well, Hunico and Camacho versus Jason Jordan and Mike Dalton. I'm not too familiar with these guys. Regal once again told his story of how Hunico and Camacho became friends. Jordan started with some amateur wrestling takedowns. Mike Dalton tagged in, but Hunico took control with a drop kick after Camacho distracted Dalton. Hunico and Camacho used quick tags to isolate Dalton in the corner. Dalton attempted a comeback with a quick pin attempt. However, Hunico escaped and tagged in. Camacho hit a nice butterfly suplex. Excuse that last interruption. My wife was coming in asking me a question. Okay. Hunico and Camacho continued double teaming Dalton while the referee was distracting Hunico with her powerbomb off the Irish whip, but Dalton leapfrogged him and countered with head scissors to the legal man Camacho. Jordan grabbed Hunico's legs to stop breaking up the upset win. Jason Jordan and Mike Dalton then defeated Hunico and Camacho in 3 minutes 44 seconds. Took me longer to give you the results than the actual match happened. Jordan and Dalton immediately started walking back up the ramp, as William Regal called it. The biggest upset on NXT so far. Byron said the main event is up next. The result was a surprise, as I thought Hunico and Camacho were going to get a squash win, and the finish was was an impressive spot. Nothing else really to say than Hunico and Camacho continued to show good chemistry as a tag team. So in the main event, Drew McIntyre came out to his full entrance to some applause, especially from some of the women in the crowd. Seth Rollins made his moshing entrance to a good pop. Seth, like Drew, signaled toward the championship on the stage as Drew signaled 1-0 with his hands in relation to Drew's victory over Seth last week. So the fifth match in your NXT was Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre in the Gold Rush tournament. Both men traded control quickly over the first few minutes. As a Let's Go Rollins chant started, Seth eventually hit a drop kick, which forced McIntyre to roll out of the ring and hide under the apron. He slammed Rollins into the apron when he followed him, and then slammed his arm into the ring steps. So who is Drew McIntyre trying to be? The Killer Bees to put on a mask and come out from the other side? Well, wait and see what happens. Well, back in the ring, McIntyre worked over Seth with no mask on, so anyway, he wasn't trying to be a Killer Bee. Including hitting a back suplex onto it as Saxon sent us to a break. Back from the break, Rollins was favoring his left arm as Drew beat him down in the corner. Drew controlled Seth, and the pace was slowly wearing down Rollins by continuing to focus on his arm. Rollins finally got a break after countering what was most likely a backdrop attempt into a big DDT. Rollins had several kicks as he sold the arm injury. He eventually hit the suicide dive through the ropes and onto McIntyre after Drew had gone to the outside. Back in the ring, Rollins moshed to set up a quarter forearm, but McIntyre stopped the follow-up with a stiff clothesline of his own, which drew a good crowd reaction. Seth jumped off the second rope. However, Drew countered with a tilt-the-world backbreaker for a 2 count. Drew sets up the Future Shock DDT, but Seth escaped twice. Drew then went for a back suplex from the top rope, but Rollins fought out and went for a Phoenix Splash. Drew moved and tried for a big boot in a similar spot from last week's match, but this time Rollins dodged it and hit the blackout for the victory. And the main event took 13 minutes 11 seconds to advance Seth Rollins in the Gold Rush tournament. Rollins went to celebrate next to the belt as Saxon said that the Gold Rush tournament will continue next week to close the show. So, another quality match from those two. I like how they worked in some of the spots from last week as it helped to the story throughout the match. Seth seems to be playing the underdog for the majority of the matches. And in my opinion, this is a double-edged sword. This is because I don't think we get to see enough of the offense in a match. However, he does seem to be getting the crowd to rally behind him really well. Overall, this was a good, productive episode of NXT. There was a lot of mixed bag of matches, match quality. But we finally have some kind of direction and purpose on the show. Feuds are starting, and there's a tournament to establish the major players on the show. The only thing that was really missing was character development. However, I'm sure we'll get more of that once more feuds start happening. Okay, there was a rumor surfacing on Monday alleging that Brock Lesnar and Ryback were involved in a physical altercation during Raw backstage. This afternoon, Monday afternoon at Raw at the AT&T Center in San Antonio, Texas, during the rehearsal for Lesnar's segment. According to numerous sources backstage at the event, nothing of the sort happened, as there was no confrontation or physicality or anything otherwise. And now for your Superstars matches. Practically nothing from Monday night was talked off except for the hard camera area and the stage. So a big crowd expected. Superstars from Raw. U.S. Champion Santino defeated Michael McGillicuddy in a non-title match. Santino 9-minute comedy match. Santino came back at the end with his usual hip toss and to the Cobra. Tensai in match 2 defeated Zack Ryder. Pretty much a glorified 6-minute squash match. Tensai stopped a late comeback by Ryder, then hit a turnbuckle bomb, and then the ball to bomb, and back splash for the win. And now for your SmackDown matches, thanks to Sean McCroskey and Candelero Perez Jr. We're at the SmackDown tapings in Houston, Texas, and they passed along all of SmackDown and your Superstars matches, and of course the dark match. Okay, Candelero wrote that the doors didn't open until roughly about 2 minutes prior to the advertised start time. Notice one of the production crew members wearing a tout headband. Yeah, you read that right. Sign guy is in attendance, so now my sign seems meaningless. Well, he stated that Justin Gabriel and Tyson Kidd beat Tyler Rex and Kurt Hawkins. Gabriel and Kidd got upper hand quick. Rex and Hawkins really drew heat and took control. There was a huge flip bomb by Kidd onto Hawkins to get a hot tag. A great tag team move for a finish. Sean noted there are two very talented tag teams that could help boost the tag division if given the chance, and it was a great match. And for the SmackDown match, for possibly the TV portion of Superstars, Santino joins the commentary for the match. Kofi Kingston defeated Heath Slater. Very good match. Slater is really hanging in there with one of the most talented superstars on the roster in Kofi Kingston. Kingston hits a springboard splash for the win. And that concludes Superstars taping, and they had a dark match in between. Wade Barrett returned to action facing and defeated Zack Ryder on SmackDown. For your dark match, Barrett looked good and is in great shape. The crowd was very into the match. The barrage took over quickly and got good heat. Ryder tried to make a comeback but got denied. The barrage took control until the fans amped up Ryder, who got in his signature moves, until missing the Rough Rider, and the Barrett barrage hits the spinning side slam. The Boss Man sidewalk slam, aka Abyss Black Hole Slam, except for the big spin. And then Wade Slam for the 1, 2, 3. Okay, and now for the SmackDown tapings by the same reporter, Sean McCroskey and Candelero Perez Jr. Michael Cole comes out to a lot of boos. Brodus Clay's disco balls hanging above the ring. Lillian Garcia made her entrance. Booker T comes out and discusses Sheamus stealing Alberto Del Rio's car at Raw. He said he wanted an apology from Sheamus, who made his entrance and apologized. Del Rio interrupted and wanted to press charges. He insulted Sheamus and got in Booker's face. Booker announced Sheamus versus Del Rio for the World Heavyweight title will take place on tonight's show. Sin Cara defeated Cody Rhodes in match number 1. Rhodes said that Sin Cara wears a mask due to him being ugly and cockeyed. They used the stupid Sin Cara mood lighting again. A good match. Cody kept trying to get the mask off Sin Cara, but it eventually led him to being rolled up for the schoolboy pin. In match number 2, Christian defeated Antonio Cesaro. Antonio said victory in 5 languages. Christian was way over. Good match, back and forth match. Cesaro showed promise. Christian speared Cesaro and got the win. Cesaro beat up Christian after the match, which sets up match number 3. Randy Orton defeated Jack Swagger. Orton was in control from start to finish in a very short match, which ended with an RKO. Booker and Teddy Long spoke in an office backstage until they were interrupted by Tyler Rex and Kurt Hawkins, who asked them about opportunities. Booker said they have the look, but they can't seem to get the job done by beating Ryback. Booker said he wants A+ talent. Match number 4, Jinder Mahal beat a pair of local wrestlers after the match. Ryback entered and ran off Jinder. Ryback demolished the local wrestlers, and the crowd was very into Feed Me More chants. Feed me more. Jericho introduced the highlight reel in the next segment, but was interrupted by Vicky Pinky Guerrero. Jericho called her Dolph Ziggler's mother. Dolph didn't show for the interview, so Vicky stood in. Vicky threatened to walk off the show. There was a recap of Dolph Ziggler losing on Raw with a top finish. Good back and forth mic work? Well, kinda. Jericho was good. He claimed that the Y2J is back. Ziggler jumped the barricade and attacked Jericho from behind. Ziggler caught him with a zigzag and then hit him with a Money in the Bank briefcase. Match number 5, primetime players with AEW. Defeated Primo and Epico by disqualification, becoming the number 1 contenders to the WWE tag titles again. Kofi Kingston and R-Truth were on commentary. There was no sign of Rosa Mendez again. They're keeping her off of TV to keep her protected from her ex-boyfriend. From Monday, life-threatening beat downs and what have you from the airport. Well, AW threw water on Kofi and Truth. The tag champs beat down AW in the ring until he escaped. The players won the tag match by disqualification. Primo and Epico looked upset with Kofi and Truth for costing them the match. Possible triple threat for the tag titles. That's my prediction for SummerSlam. Eve attempted to sweet talk Booker into giving her a job again, but Booker said nothing is available. Caitlyn entered the room. She will face Eve next week, with the winner of the match becoming Booker's assistant. Match number 6, Rey Mysterio defeated The Miz in a non-title match. Very good back and forth action. Mysterio looks and moves like he did 10 years ago. Miz did well also. Mysterio won with a roll up. After the match, Triple H came out and pedigreed The Miz in a segment that probably won't air on TV. Daniel Bryan made his entrance to Major Heat. Great mic work by Bryan promoting his match at SummerSlam. Kane entered and then AJ came out to a surprise. She flirted a little and was very complimentary of Kane. She asked Bryan to shake Kane's hand and he said no. She demanded that he shake Kane's hand. Kane and Daniel Bryan fought a little. Bryan rolled out and jumped the barricade. AJ was on the stage laughing and Kane exited. Main event, Sheamus versus Alberto for the World Heavyweight title. Del Rio wore black and it fits his character a little bit better. The police showed up to attack Sheamus before the match. Apparently they were hired by Del Rio. Probably indie Fed guys. Or could be some of the NXT guys. With Sheamus down, Del Rio locked in the cross arm breaker. The match never got started, so the show ended with Sheamus clenching his arm. And your main event dark match, John Cena defeated Big Show and Dolph Ziggler in a handicap match. Big Fake Johnny came out and took an attitude adjustment to send the crowd home happy. Lillian Garcia thanked the crowd and told us to drive home safely. And as Sean noted, overall great show. Live crowd was really into the show. And that ends the SmackDown and NXT and Superstars results.